New headache for MBS as Iran drops a cold threat across the Gulf, piling fresh geopolitical pressure on the Saudi crown prince just as he grapples with renewed international scrutiny over Jamal Khashoggi's murder. A key US-aligned NATO partner has now opened a major judicial investigation, raising the prospect that Mohammed bin Salman could once again find himself entangled in a high-profile legal case abroad. The Khashoggi murder probe is resurfacing to haunt MBS at the very moment Iran is issuing stark warnings against Gulf states, creating a dual challenge that threatens his global image and regional security posture. Claiming Iran would soon run out of patience, a senior aide to Mojtaba Khamenei lashed out at Gulf nations for backing Trump's war, hinting at possible escalation against them. France has opened a formal judicial investigation into the 2018 murder of Saudi dissident and journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Khashoggi, 59, was killed in October 2018 after entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul to obtain documents for his planned marriage. Investigations and reports say his body was dismembered inside the consulate and his remains have never been found, suggesting a pre-planned operation. Human rights NGOs have accused Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of complicity, arguing such a mission could not occur without high-level approval. Saudi authorities admit Khashoggi was killed in the consulate but deny top-level responsibility for the crime. Riyadh insists that rogue officials carried out the operation without authorization from the Crown Prince or senior leaders. In 2022, Khashoggi's former organization filed a legal complaint in France, accusing Mohammed bin Salman of complicity in the killing. The complaint alleged that the Crown Prince ordered Khashoggi's murder by asphyxiation, framing it as a deliberate act. France's National Anti-Terrorism Prosecutor's Office initially opposed opening a full investigation into the case. Critics said this stance showed France was prioritizing economic and strategic ties with Saudi Arabia and avoiding a clash with Riyadh. The Paris Court of Appeal has now ruled that the acts could be treated as crimes against humanity, enabling French judges to proceed. Earlier in his career, Khashoggi served as an advisor to the Saudi government and was close to the royal family. He later became a prominent critic of Saudi leaders and relocated to the United States, where he wrote columns challenging their policies. In 2025, Donald Trump said the Saudi crown prince knew nothing about Khashoggi's killing, despite international suspicions. The launch of the French probe coincides with rising regional tensions, as Iran has issued a new threat against Arab Gulf states. Mohammad Mokhber, a senior advisor to Mojtaba Khamenei, posted the warning on the social media platform X on May 16. Mokhber said, quote, "Iran looked upon them for years as friends and brothers, but they, by pre-selling their sovereignty, even placed their soil and homes at the disposal of the enemies of Palestine and Iran." The Islamic Republic's response to the CENTCOM's rented outposts in the recent all-out war was not full-scale, but certainly, this restraint is not perpetual. Unquote. Saudi Aramco CEO said the shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz is the largest energy supply shock the world has ever faced, arguing that no previous disruption matches this one in scale or duration. Amin Nasser estimated that the world has lost about 1 billion barrels of oil supply since the war began, a cumulative hit that he warned is still rippling through every major economy. He added that markets were losing around 100 million barrels per week at the height of the disruption, according to Reuters, underscoring how quickly the deficit built up once Hormuz was choked off. Nasser made these comments to Reuters on May 10, just as US-Iran peace talks once again hit a hurdle and hopes for a swift resolution to the crisis started to fade. On the same day, the US president rejected Iran's response to Washington's peace proposal as unacceptable, hardening his stance and casting doubt on any near-term breakthrough. Nasser cautioned that even if shipping routes were reopened immediately, it would still take months to rebalance the market, because inventories have been drained and logistics chains thrown into disarray. To manage the risks, Aramco rerouted much of its shipping away from the Gulf through the East-West pipeline, shifting crude from eastern fields to the Red Sea port of Yanbu so exports could bypass Hormuz entirely. The East-West pipeline links production in Saudi Arabia's east to Yanbu on the Red Sea, allowing tankers to load there instead of navigating the increasingly dangerous choke point in the Gulf. Nasser warned that if disruptions continue into mid-June, a full normalization of the market could be pushed all the way into 2027, meaning elevated prices and volatility might persist for years. He also recalled that alleged Iranian drones had targeted Aramco's Ras Tanura refinery on March 2, an early strike that highlighted how vulnerable Saudi energy infrastructure had become in this war. State energy giant Aramco temporarily shut operations at the facility after the attack, according to Reuters, adding another disruption to Saudi Arabia's already strained energy network. The war also forced a temporary shutdown at Sadara Chemical Company, an Aramco-Dow joint venture, highlighting how the conflict has hit not just crude exports but key downstream and petrochemical assets as well. Meanwhile, Iran and Saudi Arabia held discussions on the situation in the Strait of Hormuz even as US talks with Tehran continued, underscoring how Riyadh is trying to manage the crisis on a separate diplomatic track of its own. Iran's foreign minister said he held a phone call with his Saudi counterpart on May 11th to review the situation between the two countries. According to Iran, the two ministers discussed the latest developments related to ongoing Iran-US diplomatic efforts and attempts to revive talks. The call came as Saudi Arabia publicly denied that it had opened its airspace for any possible US military action or aggression against Iran. A Saudi official reportedly dismissed circulating media claims on this issue, describing the reports as misleading. A Saudi official said, and I quote, "The kingdom did not allow the use of its airspace to support offensive military operations. There are parties trying to give a misleading image of Saudi Arabia's position for suspicious reasons," unquote. Riyadh instead emphasized that it supports de-escalation efforts and is backing Pakistan's diplomatic mediation between Washington and Tehran. Saudi officials stressed that the kingdom has never permitted US operations targeting Iran to be launched through Saudi airspace. These denials came even as other reports alleged that Saudi Arabia and Kuwait had relaxed restrictions on US access to their military bases.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.